All right, the Titans. Probably not the year in 2024 you had hoped for. A lot of money spent, not a lot of results, and as a result of that, a brand new general manager. Let's rewind the clock back to Ran Carthon being dismissed from his duties, a new GM being brought in. Brad, was that the right move?
Oh, what a complex answer to that question, because I think in the grand scheme of things, I hated the way it looked because it just screams dysfunction. Because 2 years ago, the Titans fired John Robinson, who was the GM. Last year, they fired Vrabel, who was the head coach. This year, they fired Ran, who was the new GM. It feels like every offseason somebody's getting fired. So I did hate to see that happen again, because it feels like you're hitting reset again. But considering the circumstances, I do like Mike Borgonzi, who they hired from Kansas City. Obviously, anybody from Kansas City these days is probably going to, intrigue you because of what they're doing there. And so I like Borgonzi. I like his, kind of business approach to everything. Ran was very laid back, kind of just wanted to be a bro, I guess you would say. But Mike Borgonzi is all business. And so I like that. I like that hire, but I do hate that we had to be in that position again of letting somebody go.
Yeah, the Jaguars and Jaguar fans are saying, hold my beer on the dysfunction with what the offseason we had down here. We're in the same boat there. No doubt about that. But the Jaguars have come out clean on the other side. I mean, we love Liam Cohen and James Gladstone and everything they've done. Talk about Borgonzi up there in Nashville. How do you feel his first offseason has gone?
It's one of those things where if you were playing the Madden video game, you would want a Ran Carthon, because it's just, I'm going to go sign every big free agent. I'm going to make every big trade. I'm going to do all of this fun off-season stuff, and I'm going to try to win the whole thing in May and June, Whereas Mike Borgonzi has not had a flashy first off-season. He has made very not flashy moves, signing guys like Xavier Woods at safety and a bunch of offensive linemen as depth pieces, stuff that doesn't make headlines, but that makes you feel a little better and stable about the organization, because we tried signing every major free agent last off season, and that's just not how you build a team. That's not how you build a good franchise, turns out. So I like kind of coming in and agreeing that we're not going to try to conquer Rome in a day. We're going to just try to get as good of a supporting cast around the new quarterback as possible. So, yeah, I like what he's done so far.
Brad Steele, the host of the Two Tone Talk podcast covering the Tennessee Titans. He's with us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. All right, the interesting thing about the seesaw between GMs and head coaches every offseason is that Borgonzi did not hire Brian Callahan. Callahan was underwhelming in year one. Is Callahan on a little bit of a warm seat heading into year two?
I think so. I mean, that's one of the things that concerns me the most about the Titans right now, is that with that, like you said, the seesaw of you fire a GM, the next year you fire the coach, then the next year you fire the GM again. What the Titans have not done yet is fire both and bring in two new people at the same time that can start together. And they didn't do that this time. They got the new GM. They already have the head coach. Like you said, Brian Callahan, in my opinion, underwhelming in year one. I don't think he was as much of a problem as Will Levis, but I do think he left a lot to be desired, and there is reason for Titans fans to be concerned about him. I think obviously he's a Callahan, so he's got football in his DNA, and hopefully he can turn it around. And he was a rookie head coach, and they're prone to make mistakes as well. But definitely one of the probably in the top three things I'm most worried about with this organization going into this year is Brian Callahan for sure.
Well, clearly the story of the Tennessee Titans offseason was Cam Ward, the number one overall pick our apologies that Jacksonville made that trade for number 2 and kind of stole the headlines. I know you got pretty fired up about that on your podcast, that Cam Ward didn't get a lot of media attention that night in April. But how has Cam Ward looked this offseason, and what's kind of the thought among the Titan fan base as he enters his rookie campaign?
Well, I do want to say, first of all, my anger, for anybody wondering, was not directed at Jacksonville as much as it was at ESPN and Mel Kiper, because I think there was a way to cover everything without just disregarding one of the two. But that's another story for another time. But as far as camp, I mean, listen, all we've done is the mini camps and the OTAs, so there's not a whole lot to go on. Really, you have some practice clips that have come out, and that's great to see, but as well as I do that it's easy to just declare somebody great because of that. It's very little to go on. So we'll see training camp coming up, but I will say I really like him. I always liked him. I was always kind of hoping that the Titans would draft him. A lot of comparisons made to Steve McNair, the late Steve McNair. I know you remember him. And so I like that. I like his mindset. And I know, a lot of people say that about a lot of players early on. Well, he's got a good attitude. He's got a good mindset. But I do think Cam has come in and I think he knows where this organization is right now. And they need not just somebody to come in and play well, but somebody to come in and lead well. And so I like everything that we've seen from him so far, but it's just not much. You know how it is this time of year.
Year 2 for Calvin Ridley up in Nashville. Obviously, year 1, I think he did the best he could under the circumstances. He's now going to be 30-plus here in year number 2 with Tennessee. What's your thought on Ridley entering the season?
Well, I said it was one of the most impressive accomplishments of his pro career that he was able to find over 1,000 yards receiving with what the Titans had at quarterback last year. I thought that was actually pretty remarkable that he was even able to do that. But, they're going to need him to be good. I understand the age. He's another year older. But when you look at their receiving group, Treylon Burks is obviously, that ship has about sailed. They got some guys in the 4th round that people are intrigued by. They've got a veteran like Tyler Lockett who's been signed, but Calvin Ridley far and away is going to have to be wide receiver 1 on the team. And again, I think it was impressive that he was even able to find 1,000 yards last season. And so I think seeing him and Cam Ward together, they've talked a lot about each other this offseason and how they're getting along and everything. And I guess that's what you want early on here. But, yeah, I'm glad we have him for right now, for where the team is, needing somebody reliable for Cam Ward. And, hopefully he can be a reliable target for him.
Final moments. Brad Steele, the host of the Two-Tone Talk podcast covering the Tennessee Titans. Brad's with us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Outside of Ridley, you mentioned the other wide receivers. I mean, Tony Pollard had a decent year last year, Tajay Spears, and we know the problems that the offensive line there in Tennessee had against Borgonzi, the new GM, tried to do something about that this offseason.
Yeah, he did. And I said Callahan was one of my top 3 concerns for this Titans team this year. One of the other top 3 concerns is the left tackle. The Titans drafted J.C. Latham to play left tackle last year, even though he played right tackle in college at Alabama. Now they've moved J.C. to right tackle, and they signed Dan Moore to a pretty hefty contract. He was with the Steelers before, and left a lot to be desired there at left tackle in Pittsburgh. Not that he was like the worst player in the world, but he certainly wasn't the best either. And so I'm worried about that position in particular, because the tackles for Tennessee over the last few years have just been abysmal since Taylor Lewan left. And so I'm hoping that Dan Moore can provide some stability, but I'm very skeptical about him. They did sign Kevin Zeitler from Detroit. I like that one more. I like that signing more because it was cheaper, and I just think Zeitler is a better player at right guard. But yeah, I'm definitely concerned about the left tackle position for sure.
If I were a betting man, and I don't know this, you say you have 3 concerns, one being Callahan, the other being the offensive line. The third one, I look at the Titans defense, Brad, and I look at Arden Key, and nothing against Arden Key, right? Good player. You could argue he's literally on the Titans roster the best pass rusher. And if Arden Key is your best pass rusher, if as far as the edge position goes, that's a problem, correct?
Correct. I would say if there's someone better than him at that position on the roster, it's not by much. They drafted an edge rusher in the second round, and you know how it is. I'm never going to declare someone as being the best when they haven't even played yet. So, yeah, for me, Arden Key is a good this is the best way I could say it, a good rotational piece. Like, he would be a good guy to come in, when somebody needs water or a break. But last year he had to start, and this year he very well may have to again unless somebody emerges in training camp. And, yeah, you'd like to be in a better place than that. If Arden Key's the best pass rusher on the team, all due respect to him, you need more pass rushers. And we saw in the Super Bowl with Philadelphia how important it is to have those. And, yeah, the Titans have got a lot of work to do at that position.
Brad, as we wrap up, you host the Two Tone Talk podcast that focuses on the Tennessee Titans. You interact with a bunch of Titan fans on your show. What is the thought about where Tennessee is in the AFC South, and what's kind of the thought about, Jacksonville, Indy, and Houston entering the year?
I think among a lot of fans, as when you draft a quarterback first overall, I think the expectations change a little bit. I think for a lot of fans, after watching how bad the Titans were last year, now you're kind of resetting with, the team's a lot younger. They're kind of relying on these latest draft classes to hopefully be the heart and soul of the team. It kind of changes the expectations of, no matter how many games you win, you just want to see Cam Ward do well. You want to see those draft picks over the last couple of years do well. And that's the main thing you're looking for. And a lot of Titans fans, I think, realize that, maybe the win column might not look like you want it to, in a couple of years. But the most important thing is seeing the development of Cam Ward more than anything else. As far as the other teams, I think the general consensus among everybody is that Houston is the team to beat, I think, in the division, just because of the stability they have with Stroud. And I do think their offensive line got worse this offseason. But, they've got a lot of talent there, and they've won the division the last couple of years, and they're the safest bet. Even though Indianapolis, I could go on a rant about Indianapolis. I don't understand why they get so hyped up every year by the media. And Jacksonville, you guys have to figure out how to win now because you've got Trevor on the big contract, and that's the time when you want to be competing. So I know obviously with their draft they had and Brian Thomas Jr., you're in a different boat than Tennessee with a new rookie quarterback. You're looking to be competitive right now. And so, I would say if any team right now would be picked to give Houston a run for their money, Jacksonville probably the safest bet behind Houston there because Tennessee just has the new quarterback and the uncertainty of Indianapolis with their quarterback. I think that's where it lands right now.
It's a bad division, but with it being a bad division, opens it up for pretty much every team in the division to think they could make a run. Brad Steele is the host of the Two Tone Talk podcast covering the Tennessee Titans. Brad, thank you for the time. We'll certainly talk as the regular season approaches. Thank you as always, my friend.
Absolutely. Thank you.